Welcome to the Market Mindset. We are the hub for news, results, and CEO interviews focusing the junior commodities sector. We provide market analysis and perspective that will help position you for solid returns. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can help support us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the notification bell. For more info, you can visit our website. All links are in the description below. Now let's get into today's video.
Hello everyone, why is copper such a hot metal right now? Growing global demand, climate change mandates, and a challenging supply scenario indicate a potential multi-year bull market. When compared to lithium, vanadium, and cobalt, copper may not be the sexiest metal in the green revolution, but the fact and figures point towards a multi-year bull market. In 2021, copper made history by hitting its highest level ever in Q2, with prices rallying above $10,700 per ton as the world slowly regained its footing from the pandemic and top consumer, China, staged an economic rebound. The red metal then continued to trade above $9,000 US per ton for most of the year, and prices are expected to hold steady at $9,813 per ton this year, dipping to somewhere around $8,375 per ton in 2023, according to Bank of America. Copper's diverse utility was first recognized more than 10,000 years ago, and it's proving to be a game changer in the electrification of our future. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, copper is currently the third most consumed industrial metal in the world. A surge in funding available to foster green innovation, combined with dwindling global production and disruptions in top producers, Chile and Peru, means copper's future is looking bright for years to come, particularly for junior miners with projects in places operating in countries like the U.S., Canada, and Australia. And in Biden's Build Back Better framework and China's Belt and Road Initiative, copper becomes a thrilling investment theme. Referencing copper's supply and demand situation, a metals strategist at Goldman Sachs said, "Copper is the new oil." This sentiment was echoed by BlackRock's global head of thematic and sector-based investing, Evie Hambro. A global surge in red metal demand. Roughly 25 million metric tons of refined copper was consumed in 2020. And over the next 10 years, worldwide demand is expected to rise by 31%. Why the growth? Considering that 72% of copper consumption resides in the power, utility, and electrical products sector, there are many reasons behind this surge. But perhaps the most exciting part of the story comes down to the global commitment to fight climate change. We're seeing a significant spike in demand for energy-efficient storage, green technology, and renewable solutions that are all backed by a massive influx of capex. As an example, the COP26 coalition, a conglomerate of banks, insurers, and investors worth $130 trillion, recently vowed to put combating climate change at the center of their work and gain firmer support for green investing. Copper will play a big role in green tech and is a staple in 5G wireless, electric vehicles, grid-scale energy storage systems, and renewable power plants. Over the next decade, as tens of millions of EVs hit the road, more copper will be needed to build and connect new power plants. The boom will also spur investment in copper battery foil. Furthermore, wind and solar farms use an enormous amount of copper. According to the Copper Alliance, wind turbines require 2.5 to 6.4 tons of copper per megawatt for the generator, cable, transformers, while photovoltaic solar power systems use roughly 5.5 tons of copper per megawatt. Renewable energy uses significantly more copper per megawatt hour of power generated when compared to coal or nuclear power. According to the market research analyst Fitch Solutions, renewable energy will be a dominant contributor to green copper demand, accounting for an average of 62% of annual demand between 2021 and 2030. The firm is so confident in this green metal that copper recently made its way on the Fitch Solutions list of commodities of the future. If we're talking about copper, we can't forget its role in computer technology advancements. According to Moore's Law, we can expect the speed and capability of our computers to increase every couple of years, leading to exponential growth. We're already seeing IBM and other hardware Goliaths choosing copper over aluminum to manufacture super powerful computer chips. Copper's superior electrical conductivity results in much faster operating speeds and greater circuit integration. 400 million transistors can now be packed into a single chip, while power requirements are reduced to less than 1.8 volts. The use of copper conductors in the chip is considered the last link of the copper computer chain, as it's also used in external cables and connectors, busways, printed circuit boards, sockets, and lead frames. Beyond computers, copper is also an essential component in new infrastructure and electrical grid buildouts. It's no secret that the US requires a staggering level of infrastructure upgrades, and copper will take center stage. Plus, there's a growing demand for eco-friendly homes, and places like California are requiring new homes to include solar panels. Copper also fortifies homes. Copper shingles and other house-related applications are fire-resistant, built to endure harsh weather, and can last up to 100 years. The red metal also strongly underpins all things transportation-related. Today's transportation by land, sea, and air is faster and safer than ever, in part due to copper alloys' high conductivity and strength, which lends itself to the manufacturing of motors and wiring, springs and steering systems, avionics, and many other applications. Modern aircrafts require reduced weight and fuel output, which is made possible through computer-operated systems that leverage electronic signals transmitted by copper. Modern trains also rely on electricity supplied by copper cables and overhead conductor wires. The most powerful trains, manufactured by GE and GM, use about 16,000 pounds of copper. East meets West. A discussion of booming copper demand is not complete without mentioning two of the biggest infrastructure initiatives in history that are happening right now: Biden's Build Back Better and China's Belt and Road. According to the International Copper Association, the multi-trillion-dollar Belt and Road initiative is so immense it could single-handedly result in global copper demand rising by 22% by 2027. Traversing several continents, One Belt, One Road includes major projects across 71 countries and is rumored that Chinese firms have secured more than $340 billion in construction contracts. Copper demand will be driven upwards by new project construction, particularly with regard to power and transportation infrastructure, increased power purchasing across connected nations, and the use of copper-dependent applications in project development, including HVAC units and EVs. Multinational mining company Anglo American has estimated that by 2030, Belt and Road Initiative will require an additional 5.6 million tons of production capacity to meet growing demands. On the other side of the world, Biden's Build Back Better legislation has earmarked $550 billion to tackle the U.S.'s most significant source of global heating gases, energy, and transportation through a variety of grants, tax incentives, and other policies aimed at fostering renewable energy technologies and major investments in electrical vehicles and public transit services. The legislation will incentivize zero-emission public transit, a national network of electric vehicle chargers, and a renewable energy grid. And that means, yes, you guessed it, the country will need a lot more copper. The role of China in the copper boom. While we're on the topic of China, it's worth noting that the country currently consumes nearly 14 million tons of copper per year, which is more than the rest of the world combined. According to the MIT Energy Initiative, China recently imposed a mandate on automakers requiring that electric vehicles make up 40% of all sales by 2030, while Beijing is working on its plans eventually banning the sale of fossil fuel-powered vehicles. Many other countries are following suit, including Germany, France, Norway, UK, and India. The implications of this will be felt on a global scale, as these mandates will drive up the production of EVs and batteries to the point that the cost of both will decline worldwide. Furthermore, offset benefits related to air pollution, human health, climate change, and national security may be significant enough to offset production costs. Like the rest of the world, these mandates will create a supply challenge for China. In addition to foreign investment in mining projects around the world, China has spent more than $16 billion in the last 12 years to acquire overseas copper companies and assets. 40% of the country's copper needs are currently met by Chinese-owned mines in Africa and other parts of the world, which has more than doubled in the past decade. However, even with these assets in place, domestic supply in China last year hovered around just 2 million tons, including scrap, while mined copper production continues to struggle. Will demand outpace supply? Supplying the anticipated growth in demand could be constrained by declining ore grades, lack of investment in new mines, political instability in copper-producing countries, and the ample time required to bring new discoveries into production. Supply and demand could level out, however, if the uptake of electronic vehicles and green tech is slower than anticipated, or if a trade war erupts between US and China. According to Nornickel, the world's largest producer of high-grade nickel and a major producer of platinum and copper, the copper market will experience a mild deficit this year, even though global mine production is expected to increase by 4%. This projected increase is attributed to the ramp up of new mines in the DRC and Peru, as well as expansion of existing projects. However, the company estimates that the current number of probable copper mining projects is not sufficient to meet future demands, and the market could slide into a sizable deficit. Though South America has the largest copper pipeline, projects are often vulnerable to water scarcity, environmental challenges, political instability, and resistance from local communities. These obstacles make it difficult for both majors and juniors to develop projects, with supply from Peru especially impacted. Antamina, a large open pit mining operation in Peru, halted production, and Las Bambas mine has temporarily suspended output due to protesters forming road blockades. As a result, projects in the US, Canada, and Australia are becoming highly sought after, and the next few years we'll see exciting opportunities open up for juniors that have copper projects in place with strong upside potential. So where are all the opportunities in copper? This is a lot of information to absorb, and this was a general macro outlook at the exciting world of copper and its foundation for our future. So do I buy a producer? Do I look for an explorer? Do I buy off the Australian exchange, the Canadian exchange? There's a lot of questions to ask. What am I buying? Come find out. You can find out the companies that I'm working with, the ones that I'm buying, the ones that I like, that are both in exploration and in development stages. But without going into detail about specific projects and companies, we wanted to just stir interest and remind people of the critical need of copper as people begin to refocus and adjust their portfolios to acknowledge the need for us to build out infrastructure and to meet the capabilities of this electric future. The red metal is going to play a critical role. So come join us, be in ahead of the curve, and engage with us to see what companies are we buying that have exciting opportunities and potential to feed this system that's ever growing.